Let's do some education stories now. And the opposition New Patriotic Party will this morning make a donation to the Kukrantumi Presby Basic School following an appeal by the headmistress for educational supplies. The headmistress had asked wife of Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur to impress on government to supply her school with chalk and other educational supplies. But Mrs. Amissah-Arthur, in her response, said government was not in a position to grant the school's requests. Bring back to you that sound bite of meanwhile, the National Women's Organizer of the opposition New Patriotic Party has described as insensitive and shameful comments by Mrs. Matilda Amissah-Arthur that government was not going to supply chalk to a school in the Eastern region despite an appeal by the school's headmistress. Now, according to Otiko Jaba, the comments by the Vice President's wife show a lack of respect to Ghanaian workers. She's therefore calling for an immediate retraction and apology from Mrs. Matilda Amissah-Arthur.
The second lady has been extremely insensitive to the good people of this country, to parents, we are all parents, and to the teachers who have been sacrificing. There is no school that has not got PTA dues, whether you are in very rural Ghana or not. All parents pay. I worked in rural Ghana for 12 years. And some of the parents couldn't send their children to school because of the PTA dues, because the schools make it compulsory. But the government, you are mandated to do what you have to do. We only support as parents and teachers associations. And the president said it in the State of the Nation address. In the manifesto, I have it here, of the NDC, it's there, 2012. That education, that is the first thing they say. The main focus of the manifesto, among others, was on education. This is 2012 NDC manifesto. If you go to the State of the Nation address, it's on the internet. That's what the president tells us, that the children of this country are our wealth. The State of the Nation address.
Maybe we cannot go into that for now. Yes.
You see. So this is not about being MPP, but MPP, are we not Ghanaians? Today when you talk, then they say you are being political. Look, the road that passes here was taken by a political decision. The decision for that, the second lady to go to Kukrantumi was a political decision. Why didn't they call the woman who sells tomatoes in Makola to go and donate the computers? Because they want political dividends out of it. That's why they asked the second lady. And when you go, people will tell you about their concerns. And you must listen. You shouldn't always have this dead goat syndrome. It's a very insensitive. It has nothing to do with my being MPP, but it has everything to do with my being a mother, being a parent, and being a child of Ghana. I speak for all those voiceless. Madam Second Lady, your office does not deserve that. It's a shame that she made those things.
Is the MPP ready to donate logbooks and teaching, notebooks as well?
I have not talked about that. That is choice. But it is mandatory upon the government.
Well, it appears it's not only the NPP that is upset about this comment. So other groups have joined, and Hanodami joins me in studio now with some more information on that. Hannah, good morning. Thanks for joining me. So, which groups are we hearing of?
We have NAT, we have NAGRAT, we have the National Council of PTAs, and also the Women in Education, in Defense of Education. These are the groups, and these are the details. When we come to NAT, it is their public relations officer who is making the issue. He described the comment as unfortunate and says that, just as Otiko says, it is a responsibility of government to provide these essentials such as chalk. And so if they think that they are reneging on this promise that they made, they should rather backtrack and not insult officials, or such as the headmistress, Juliet. And they said that what she said is not right at all. And they have not asked for an apology yet, though. Let's go to NAGRAT, another educational institution, and it is their financial secretary who is also talking on their behalf. He is Seth Boedu. He described the comment as grave disappointment, and he says that the Mahama-led administration, they choose to provide all these free school uniforms, schools and all of that. So if they are asking for chalk, how much is chalk? If maybe Mrs. Matilda and Ms. Arthur says that chalk is not too expensive, so the teachers should go provide it, they are also saying that how much is chalk the government cannot provide, and that's coming from NAGRAT. They are saying that they are studying the comment very well, possibly a playback, and they will come back with necessary action. But there's a little ignorant statement that they mentioned here, quote, the second lady has shown a high level of ignorance in education.
Is that's how NAGRAT chose to describe her comments?
That's their
as
comment.
ignorant?
Yes, high level of ignorance in education, and that's their quote. So let's go to the National Council of PTAs, and they described it as great shock and dismay. This time is the national president who spoke. He's Alexander Danso, and he says that government again should not backtrack because they've already made their promise, and so they have to abide by it. And providing chalk is one of it. So they should rather go back and provide the chalk so that they save the face of Mrs. Matilda and Mr. Arthur. They are actually asking for an apology because they says they as PTA, they provide the chalks anyway. Just that if Kukurantumi Presbyterian High does not have and they ask for it, why shouldn't she just provide? Giving 5 laptops and not providing chalk is not too good. Finally, the Women in Defense of Education, a new group, they say that they are appalled and they described her response as derogatory. And they said that this comment made by Mrs. Matilda and Mr. Arthur is archaic, is miles, this is their comment, is miles away from the position that she occupies. You see, their argument is that the president is not so accessible. When will the president go to Kukurantumi? She's not too accessible. So if the second lady has come over and they are making this appeal to her, she should just listen and provide, use her position as the second lady of the land to provide the chalks, since Mahama is not so accessible, than to say that they should go and buy it herself. So basically, these are the thoughts of these 4 groups.
I seem to gather a certain trend, talk of ignorance and talk of the comments being unfortunate and all. Is this across board? I also heard the former Director General of the Ghana Education Service also passed a similar comment.
Yes, and so he was not too happy about it at all. He also made a bit the ignorant statement there as well, because he's saying that if she knew so much about education and what goes into it, she wouldn't have made that comment. Mind you, she's a librarian, so we shouldn't, a librarian, but they're saying that she's a bit ignorant about educational system.
If she is a librarian, then she does have a fair idea what goes into some of these things, right?
Yes. And all of these groups actually want her to provide the chalk or use her channel, her position to provide the chalks for this particular school to save her face or apologize, or the government itself should go and provide it. Because if you have started, continue. Don't start giving out free uniforms, computers, probably to schools that may not
free
have
sandals as well.
Yeah, free sandals, probably free socks.
The school feeding.
School feeding.
Quite a number of free things.
Yeah, so chalk should also be free. Possibly the duster should also be free.
I see. All right. Honorable, thank you very much. And like I mentioned to you earlier, we are told that the opposition NPP will be making a donation to this particular school this morning. We'll bring you much more updates as the show progresses. But we're taking a break here on News Desk. We'll return shortly with some more. Don't go away.